Melting glaciers in Antarctica, epic wildfires in Australia, unseasonal rains destroying crops. There's no denying that climate change is real and sustainability is the need of the hour. While cryptocurrencies and their popularity has got people worried about the carbon footprint that's generated by these digital assets. So let's dive deeper into this with Orinayo Ayodele, who's the program manager for Filecoin Green. Orinayo, some reports say Bitcoin mining is emitting as much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere as New Zealand. Now that's a pretty shocking figure to say the least. Give us your perspective on carbon footprint of blockchain technology.
There has been a lot of talk about the implications of energy use, especially with what is happening around the world and everything. But a lot of that attention is Bitcoin is very energy intense. But say Filecoin, for example, it uses 1% of all energy that data centers use around the world. So there are different types of blockchains that are more energy intensive, but there are other blockchains that are not energy intensive and do consume energy at a much lower rate than other sources of energy. And what we're doing at Filecoin Green and what others are doing in this space is really trying to mitigate the amount of energy that we use. And even if we're trying to balance out and to really look at the emissions that these blockchains are emitting and how do we reduce the energy use of that around the world. So that the claims do make sense and the claims are true when you're looking at proof of work sort of blockchains, but many blockchains are moving away from that, just as everyone is talking about Ethereum changing and everything. But us at Filecoin Green have always how we use the blockchain is really to mitigate as much energy use as possible.
Now, to pick up from your mention of the Ethereum merge, the transition to proof of stake for them is expected to reduce the currency's carbon footprint by 99%. So tell us about how does one incorporate green tech developments into chains that are already existing, that are older, that are already at work? How does one make blockchains sustainable?
So for example, I will talk about what we're doing at Filecoin Green, is that we really are trying to make environmental accounting a Web3 superpower. And you are able to, right now, with sort of the environmental claims, environmental accounting, anybody can claim that they're reducing their carbon emissions, that their ESG claims, that they are really environmentally sound and verifiably sound. But anybody can make those claims. And what we really want to do is to prove and to verifiably prove that we are measuring and reducing the environmental impacts. So other blockchains can use some of the tools that we are already using at Filecoin Green to sort of reduce and verify their carbon emissions. So for example, you can evaluate the energy use of your network. You can also connect your network to renewable sort of energy uses. And then also those miners that you have in your blockchains, you can also make them more sustainable through tools, through sort of like the guidance and grants. So with the tools and the APIs that we're building and that are in our pipeline and those that we're also supporting through our grants process, which I help lead, that we will really make all of the blockchains as verifiable and sustainable as possible.
That is such an essential point, isn't it? Just claiming to be green is not enough. You need to back it up and have proof that people are actually doing their bit to make a difference. And that really brings me to the next question. You mentioned ESG, and that's been such a buzzword in corporate circles for the last few years. And if you talk about ESG and sustainable investments, especially with the advent of green blockchains, with the advent of sustainable blockchains, do you think we could see ESG-linked crypto investments possibly get that bump up, driving institutional investments and institutional interest in the space?
I 100% think so, because at the moment when you are, like, let's say corporations are reducing their carbon emissions, that these carbon emissions that they say that they're reducing, they are reducing them a year after the fact. And then these are not verifiable, that these are not really targeted, and these are not really tuned in with the energy that they're consuming, because you may be consuming energy in Texas and you're offsetting it by energy in Singapore. And really our value proposition at Filecoin Green and the other things that we're doing is that that we're able to verifiably prove that this is how we are offsetting these emissions. So I think that being able to have these solid data and then being able to verify it and being able to show as quickly as possible, it really will bring investments into the sort of crypto space, especially looking at the green space as well, because there are also different ways you can do that as well, with beyond just offsetting carbon emissions. You can also do it for solar, for also like storage providers, and then you can also track deforestation. So there are lots of different ways that you are able to do that and really be able to provide it on the blockchain and provide support and data and up-to-date information for not only for these businesses, but for also the investments as well.
Orinayo, such a pleasure talking to you today, and we can't wait to hear more from you at the Phil Singapore 22 Summit, which kicks off on September 26th.